for a very, very long time, you're using Dynamics as your place for business data. You're using it to make processes more efficient. But one piece that wasn't quite tied in together was the ability to collaborate. So yes, you could open up teams and have side conversations, but then they're not connected with the actual record. So as a conversation might shift from person to person, from dispatcher to technician to the next technician, context of what that's all about was lost. And so with this feature, we really bring the heart of what Teams has to offer when it comes to collaboration and embed it with Dynamics 365 field service to make sure that not only can you use field service for all your processes, but for collaboration within it as well. So what you'll see here is an admin page, and some of these settings you're going to need tenant admin permission to go ahead and enable, and it's all explained right here really well on this page. And so you're going to need to make sure that you turn on linking and you turn on enhanced integration as well. The other items you'll have to do is you'll have to make sure that, yes, you want to enable Teams chats inside Dynamics 365. This one is optional, but you'll probably want it. We'll talk about it in a second. So this is just basically walking through this. We'll get you all set up to make sure that you can connect your Teams organization with Dynamics 365. Now, on the bottom over here is where the entities that are enabled for collaboration are added. And so by default, as you install field service, you'll see work order as one of the options. And if we go ahead and we click over here, we can click edit, or we can just click on work order itself. And one of the settings that's important is introduction message. What you'll see in a second is that as, let's say, a dispatcher reaches out to an asset manager or to a technician in context of a work order, do you want to give them an initial introduction message with context about that record? And if so, which is when you would enable this to be on, what data do you want to include? And so what you can simply do is you can click from your list of views that are available inside of the system, and based on the views that are the columns that are in that view, that's the data that's going to display by default. So by default, you'll see work order, but let's say you wanted to do it for customer asset as well. You can always click add record type. I can search for customer asset as an example. And then I'd be able to choose one of my views to collaborate on customer asset as well. So now that we've gone through the setup experience, and before we move on, any questions, Dave?
Looks good.
Great. Let's go into the experience now. So we're going to open up an existing work order. And what's interesting is that when I open up this pane over here, perfect, the presenting screen was in the way. Okay, so now we're going to open up a work order. And what you'll see now on the top is this little icon, which is Teams chats and channel integration. So I click on this icon over here, and it'll go ahead and it'll load up that user's conversations. So you'll see in this case, for this work order, we can see any chats that are existing that are already linked to this work order previously. And you can see any other chats. So the point of the one that's linked to the work order is as you're collaborating, you want to get full context, including conversations. I can just go in and I can click it and I can see any collaboration that might have been happening around this work order. But this also gives me a way that if I'm just having general conversations, I can also just see the other chats that I'm involved in so that I don't have to go and switch applications to now collaborate on existing conversations. So here, there's another chat that was going on in a different work order. I can still open up this particular chat and I can have conversations on that chat, even though it's not in context of this work order. So that separation clearly allows you to sort of differentiate between the different options. Now, conversely, if I go ahead and I open up a different work order, we'll open up this work order. You can see on the right-hand side that it's updating the information. And in this case, there are no chats linked to this work order. All I see here are other chats that are right over that are associated to me as a Teams user. So there's two things I can do. If I want to just have a general chat, I want to check, hey, are we going for lunch or not? I can go ahead and I can click on this icon on the top right. And this is just a generic chat. And I can find someone just like you would in regular Teams. And I can initiate a conversation, which is not linked to the work order, and chat and do whatever I got to do. If I click on new linked chat, this follows a similar path. But this is where that setup experience comes into play, where I click on new link chat. Now, one thing you'll notice is that anyone with access to the work order can view that discussion. And there's a disclaimer so that everybody understands that. There's also a chat name. So when you're creating this chat, let's say I was already having a conversation with a participant. Instead of merging those conversations, because this is a brand new conversation about a specific work order, it creates a new group chat under the hood. So even if it's a one-on-one chat or, of course, a group chat, it uses the team's group chat capabilities. And that's how we go ahead and separate this out, and we don't continue old conversations. We start a brand new one specifically about this work order. And, of course, I can rename this if I want to. So let's go ahead and let's find one of the participants. And in this case, Anne is a technician. So I find Anne. Remember in the admin setup, we said, yes, we want to send an introduction message. So this is checked by default. And if you look down here, all of those fields that were in that welcome message view that we selected are available. So as long as you have data in those fields, you're going to see it. If, for example, I didn't have a functional location, or in this case, I don't have an asset specified, that's why asset's not showing. And so at this point, I can just hit start chat. And immediately what happens is that will send that chat to Anne. And so what I'll do quickly is I'll drag over Anne's Teams instance, which in this case is using mobile, and you can see how Anne would receive this. So the chat name is 007, which by default is using the record name, which you can turn on and off in the admin. And it comes through and it says, hi, can we chat about this? And I can see all the details from the actual welcome message from that view. And if I click view details here, I'm on the mobile experience, it will open up the the browser experience for UCI on mobile. So as of today, we do not deep link into the actual field service mobile application, something on our radar we hope to get to, but for now it'll open up the web experience on mobile. And so too, if I jump in over here, you can see that, let's say I'm communicating with an asset manager or somebody else or a technician that might be on a desktop, same thing. It goes ahead and it shows up and it says, hi, can we chat about this? I can click view details and it'll open up that record. So as I have the conversation, so now I'm on my other screen, I'm going to say, how can I help? I'm chatting from my mobile. And you can see the ... and you can see over here that Anne sent back, how can I help? And then I can say, will you be on time for the job? And Anne will say, yep, on track. And so all of this context remains with this work order, so anyone else who picks this up can go ahead and can actually be a part of this. Now, let's say along the way that I need to loop in some asset specialist or Anne's manager or another technician because, hey, we need someone else to go and help. I can always go ahead and I can add people. So by clicking on so I can also do from here is I can always add additional people to the conversation. So let's say that I need to chat with another technician who might have been there before, or I want to have a discussion with some asset specialists. I can always go ahead and I can add additional people to this chat so that we can now have a group conversation and the same conversation can go through all the stakeholders for this particular work order. Now, you can also go ahead and you can have multiple different linked conversations. So if I'm having different conversations on a big work order with one with the technician and a different one with an asset manager, and I want to keep them separate, no problem. I can have multiple different linked chats for that same work order by clicking this button over here. Now, if I ever need to unlink a chat, there's a specific security permission that I need to have. As long as I have that security privilege, I can always go ahead and I can unlink this chat from the work order, and you can refer to the docs to learn more about what privilege has to be added. We also have the filter ability. So if I want to go ahead and I want to search for a very specific chat within here, I can go ahead and I can say, I know I was chatting with someone named Test. And it'll pull up all of the chats here, just like you would in Teams. And that summarizes the capabilities of embedding collaboration in Teams. So from a scenario perspective, it allows anybody at any point to initiate conversations. So if I need to talk to the last technician that was there, and so I need to make sure that I have all that context for then the new technician who's going to go ahead and going to go on site, or if that new technician needs to let a dispatcher know that they're not running on time. All of that can be initiated by the different personas. It can be linked to that particular work order, so it always shows up in the right pane with the right context. And as I deliver a message to any stakeholder in the company throughout the process, it comes with that welcome message and lets you see the summary of it, click on it, and get more details. This also is supported when it comes to chatting with external users, as long as the users are authenticated properly through Teams using the various methods of external participants that you can do with Teams, which we'll refer to in the docs. You can go and you can chat with external stakeholders such as subcontractors or even customers directly.